Hey everyone. Yeah, I hope I won't take too much time. And definitely my talk is not going to be that rocket science you've seen before. It's pretty generic, but probably most of your time you're working with layouts and widgets. That is why you have this pain as I had. That is why I also try to experiment a bit. And just straight from my sandbox, this topic, and straight off my head, I can share with you. There is no package, but this code is also publicly visible, publicly accessible. So if you want, you can make your hands dirty. Yeah, let's talk about the modifier stuff. There are going to be some animations, probably too much, but I've experimented with that as well for the first time. In my agenda, just a bit of like widget generically, also about modifier and how we can use it and so what. So let's briefly check the UI creation flow. Yeah, first and first, we need to imagine and understand what we want to do. Then also, of course, we are just writing code to make the widgets, which are configurations, let's say so. Then all the magic happens behind, all the painting, all the layouting, which is not managed by us. I mean, it's managed by Flutter. Most of the time, we are working with the main UI components, like what do we have here? A text, icon, image, or whatever button. All the rest mostly layouts or styling. Yeah, we are not skipping layouts. You all know about row, column, and stack, list, whatever. We are not skipping that, but we are not covering that as well. And all this stuff. We have quite some layout or quite some widgets to cover, which are opacity, I don't know, transition, scale, even semantics. Yeah, everything. Everything, all of that stuff is just about styling, configuration, mostly, of the most common UI components. And as Compose actually was born after Flutter, inspired by Flutter, it was like a bit better version, and we still have all the inheritance or heritage, how to say. This is why we are not having a modifier as Compose have. And as an Android engineer who tried Compose just a bit, I was like, oh, that's cool. All the stuff, all the composables are called the same. Column is column, row is row, text is text. Where all that creepy things like a line, it's just inside of the modifier. And I was like, yeah, I'd like to have modifier in Flutter. I'd like to, but we don't. So I decided to experiment a bit. First and first, what modifier is? Let's take a look on this example. Pretty simple. It's a column with two texts. Yeah, it's taken from Flutter Con, so please don't judge me. But hashtag is changed. So it's a column of two texts, and all the paddings and alignment of these two texts is handled inside of modifier. So I've decided to check what modifier is. Modifier is just plain Kotlin class. Yeah, nothing related to Android. It's just Kotlin. And, oh, not the fast, sorry. And also modifiers allow us to decorate and augment the composable. So actually, as I said, it's a configuration theme. Decorator, configurator. We can call it whatever we want, but it's modifier. It modifies in the end. Okay, so what modifier can do? It is taken officially from the official Android Compose modifiers website. I mean, you can check the same URL. And it says that it can change composable size, layout, behavior, and appearance. Also, add information like accessibility. I said semantics. And it also, okay, a bit slow. It also can process user input and high-level interaction like scrollable, draggable, whatever. Kind of not much, but we can clearly see that we definitely have all the same widgets, which are doing the same, but they are widgets, which was supposed not to be visible, but they're just adding some super extra functionality. So, what the problem we are trying to solve? I'd like to say we have a problem. In the end, who is used to use Flutter, they don't have problem at all. But I would say that, at least my statement is, it is an approach. So modifier itself is not just a pattern, it's approach to reduce code lines count, of course, because in the end you will see, at least on simple examples, you will see the outcome. Also, it could increase code readability for those who are switching from Android, so they will see, oh, that's the modifier, we can use the same way, and all the other composables or widgets, they are pretty the same. And iOS developers, I think in Swift UI, they have similar things. Similar, not saying the same. And also, we can keep all the modifiers or wrappers or stylers or whatever decorators all in one place, so not to spread it over the code base. And if needed, we can just adjust it, and it will be nice, tidy, cute, whatever. And then, just in my tiny playground or sandbox, I decided to play a bit with it. First and first, I was like, yeah, we can do that with extensions. Easy peasy, 2 minutes. We have all the modifiers now. Not all, at least 2. Extension method on widget, adding background, just wrapping with colored box. Adding padding, just wrapping with padding. Easy, tidy, easy readable. And on the right, you can see the application, how it works. So just applying padding background and then padding again. Pretty neat, I would say. But it's not like that cool. I want to highlight a few points. Probably you won't agree with me, you won't disagree with me. We'll see. Not really good things are it's not really looking like Android or composable modifier. It looks more like a Swift UI builder, and that is why I have this thing. Also, an opposite to modify, it's not transferable from parent to the child, because in Compose we can take this modifier and then just put it into the child composable and then just adjust it because it's an object. And also it can cause performance implications. Of course, on my examples, I was not able to catch any because like you've seen that example. But this guide says that helper methods are not that cool, and actually extracting widget creation outside of the builder is not a good practice. Oh, you do see, I don't see. No, that's fine. But also some cool things. It's not like just bad things about extension methods. Good things also present there. It is reusable, yes, because it's just extension method. It is simple and atomic, yes, it is just one method. It is easy readable, of course, and in the end they are doing what they're supposed to do. So some cool stuff is still present there. But yeah, let's make a modifier. So at least it looks like modifier in Compose and probably behaves like modifier in Compose. So that's a modifier I decided to create. It's a plain Dart class. It can be reused. It is immutable, equitable, and it's just like a set of configuration. Under the config, I've hidden all the configurations, let's say like background, paddings, align, whatever we can imagine. It is generic here, but you can catch the code and you can see it. Not bad so far. Modifier class is here. It is plain Dart class. Then, if you want to do it like in Compose, we can follow the Compose-like approach. But in Compose, each column or each composable, they have a modifier parameter. We don't. So how can we inject it into our text, for example? Yeah, we can make our own widget. Like you can see modified text, which is our own stateless widget, which has a modifier parameter and all other, maybe not here, but it could have all the other parameters from the text widget, which means actually separate wrapper for each separate UI creating widget, which means, yeah, code grows a lot. It means also we need to handle all the modifier in each wrapper separately. It's, I don't know, work is not doubled, it's tripled or quadrupled, I guess. And in the end, it's just like creating our own design system. So instead of text, we are going to use modified text. Instead of icon, modified icon, so on, so on, so on, so on. Not practical. So I was like, yeah, not cool. But probably we still can do something in between two worlds. Not really Compose, not really Flutter, not having separate wrappers, and I was like, yeah, let's do something in between. So on the left is the same modifier, same Dart class, Dart object in the end. And on the right, I will present to your attention just one object, just one widget which is modified, which gonna be a wrapper over any other widget, any other child. You can probably recognize something like a container in it. In the end, it is like a container because container is also having all this stuff inside, but handling it in a different way. So just modified container. So it also can take a modifier, apply it or wrap our child in all the different widgets, which are configurations, and make everything neat and tidy. So, I mean, let's be honest. How many of you used just colored box instead of container? Or how many of you used a line instead of container with some stuff? So probably we can just make a code tidier and nicer if we are using one container with different parameters rather than having a line, padding, background, color box, instead of all these wrappers. Yeah, we are using containers. So that's pretty similar approach, but with our own things we wanted to add, or maybe I wanted to add. So how can it be used? Or how it can be used? I think that's a modifier which is following the same builder principle, but that's a Dart object, so it's fine. We are not dealing with handler or helper methods for widgets. Just a widget which takes a modifier. We are configuring all the modifications we want instead of each separate parameter like padding, align, background, foreground, etc., etc. We are dealing with one object with all the configs. If needed, we can reuse it and then wrap in the child. In this case, it is one child, but we can deal the same way with a list of child as row column doing. It's not a big deal. And that's a result. Then I wanted to also experiment and like, yeah, but order is matters. And I just swapped some of these modifiers. I was like, what the result's going to be? Result is different, of course. Probably you don't see it here, but there is so on the first one, it is a foreground red. It's not background. I guess so. It has a bit different shade. It's a bit red, black, you can say. On the right one, it's just two backgrounds, one on top of another. So order matters. It behaves like modifier. What the result is? Yeah, of course, I was not measuring performance because you can like see the performance of this widget. It's disaster, of course, for the modern devices. What the result is? I would say that we somehow matched with Compose modifier and somehow we didn't. So what actually matched with the Compose? It is Dart object, plain Dart object, as well as plain Kotlin object in Compose. So here we matched perfectly. It is configuration object as is, and it can be reused. So it can be instantiated outside, reused, copied, modified for all the childs if needed. So pretty neat. And also most of the Compose, most because I haven't tried all of them, but most of Compose configurations or modifiers can be replicated by our own modifier if we want or if we need. What's not that great or what didn't match with Compose modifier is no scope safety. Probably you've seen that some modifiers can be applied only if we are using row or column, for example, like expandable, I guess, expandable in our world. So so far there is no like scope safety, at least in my case. Was not digging deeper, but definitely we can do that if we were able to draw the airplane. So we can do the same stuff in our own modifier. That's pretty it. And here I wanted just to compare pure Flutter, so actually what we have, and that's an example where we're using color box, padding color box. quite extended container. So in the end, you will have this widget tree, and on the right. And on the left, we have our own modifier approach, which is neat, one by one, one after another. We apply all the modifiers we want. So yeah, I'm not closing all the brackets because we don't have enough space. But I guess it is success somehow. So in here, we married two words, worlds, Flutter and Compose. Compose is the child of Flutter, let's say, or at least inspired by Flutter. So we're not really marrying them, but rather piggybacking and checking, hey, how you doing, kid? And kid is doing good, so we can do the same stuff on our side. We can learn from them. And if needed, we can, in that way, simplify our code base. Yeah, I guess it's success. And at this point, I would love to ask you to leave a feedback to this amazing Flutter London group, these people, Simon and George. And for those who will do that faster, I have some swag. Of course, that's from Flutter conference.
Thank you very much, Vadym.